Hey, what's up? How you doing today? I'm gonna do a video and I'm gonna show you a DIY ukulele kit that's made by Amahi Ukuleles. This is a new product that they're coming out with, and I'm an artist from West Bend, Wisconsin, and I'm gonna go through my process on how I'm gonna paint one of these, put it together and everything. And if you guys come up with any other ideas, cool ways to do it, share it with us at Amahi, and we'd love to see it. Thank you. All right, guys, first things first, let's see what's in the kit. All right, so it comes like this. Got some bubble wrap. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Some instructions. Shows you all the parts you need. Instructions how to do it. In the box. Got the body. This fretboard goes on there probably like that. Then we got a little baggie with all our hardware and screws and everything and the strings. So you can go through this baggie and everything right here and make sure with this that you got all the parts in the bag. Should all be there. Everything should be all good. And then just make sure you got everything you need. And that's what all comes with it. All right, so my next step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of sandpaper. I'm gonna hit it with a 150 grit and a 220 grit. And then just a little tip when you're sanding wood to go with the grain and not against it. Always with the grain, not against it when you're sanding wood. And sanding is an important step for the preparation of paint. I know it might seem like this part is kind of boring. Trust me, it's worth it in the end. Alright guys, so I got it sanded down. Feels real smooth. It's real important because then the paint will go on, stick onto the wood much more easily when you do this step. And then after this, I just take a cloth, wipe everything down, and then just after that, I take this thing called the tack cloth. It's called the tack cloth because it's tacky. And then you take that and you wipe that down to make sure all your sawdust and everything is off there before you actually apply your primer or your gesso. Whew. Got the first coat. Gesso, primer on all sides. So now I'm going to take a 400 grit piece of sandpaper and just like earlier, sand it with the grain. And then I'll hit it with my tack cloth, get rid of all the dust on there, and then do my next coat of gesso primer. So I'll do this 3-4 times depending on how it looks. I'm not going to do a video for each one, but just letting you know that's what I'm doing now. Alright guys, I got my neck and my body both fully prepped, primed, and ready for artwork. The way I'm doing this is deviating off of the instructions of the DIY kit a little bit because I like the idea of having this apart while I paint it so that it's just easier to paint with the parts not all connected. And then there's stuff that I don't want to get paint on, so it's nice to not get paint on the stuff I don't want to get paint on. So what I did is I went through and I put the ukulele together, and then I marked off, but I didn't glue it, I just put it together, and then I marked off all the spots where all the hardware and everything is going to be, so that when I go in through here and do my design, I'll know where all those spots are going to be so that my design doesn't get covered up by the hardware. So I'm going to go through right now and just show you the steps on how I got all this put together, the different pieces, and how to do it. All right, for the first piece I'm going to show you how to put on is the bridge, and that goes on here. and then you put it right down here in the bottom. And to get this located where you want it, you look at your instructions, and it tells you that the top of here to up here on the top of here is 6.83 inches. So what I did is I laid this on here, took my ruler, which is a pretty big one that I think used for wallpaper, and I measured there to there with the bridge on there until I got it to 6.83. And then once I got that lined up, I took a pencil and just drew a little line, just not too much so I could erase it, and then kind of put that on there. And then I took my ruler again and I got this lined up so that when you measure there to there, and then you measure there to there, it would be the same distance from there to there. And on mine, it was 1.8 inches from there to there on both sides. So then I got it 1.8 from there to there, 1.8 there to there, and then from here to here, 6.83 like it says in the instructions. Now, once I got it where I wanted it, it was time to add that on. So this doesn't come with screw holes in it. So I took a nail, smaller one than your screw, and I put a little hole in, took a hammer and put a little hole in both sides of this so that I had my starter, it's called the pilot hole, for my screw to go in. Now when I did this, you're kind of hammering with a nail, so you don't want to do it on your ukulele because you don't want to hit through your ukulele. So I just set it on my table, took the nail, put the little holes in there. Then I put it on my ukulele like this. Got it all lined up where my lines that I put in there after I did all my measurements. And then I took the bigger screws. There's 2 different screws in the kit. Took the bigger screws, put it in here, and I already had my starter holes. So then it was easier for me to screw this into here, and did it on both sides, back and forth, going back and forth. And then once I got here, then I got my holes in here, and now I undid it and put it in here, and now I have this all marked off where it's going to go later after I do my artwork on here. So that is how I did the bridge. One more quick tip for how to get this level when you're doing that. You can measure from here to here and here to here also, coming off your sides, and make sure that's the same distance going up and down here, just like you did there to there. And that's how you make sure you got this straight and level with the ukulele. All right, for my next part that I'm going to show you how to put, how I figured it out where to put it, was the nut. It's called the nut, and it goes located right up top above where your fretboard, this is what your fretboard looks like, right above where that would be. So this would go right up here. And how I got this, how I wanted it, was the kit comes with 2 of these pins. So you put that in, like that. And now make sure that you don't glue anything, because you're going to take it back apart so that you can paint it easier. At least that's how I want to do it. You can do it how you want, but this is my way of doing things. So get that, and now it's together. We're not gluing it, but now we know where it's supposed to be located. And then this, to figure out where to put it, you take your instructions again, and it shows you right up top here measurements from the bridge that we had before to this. And that measurement on the instructions says it's 13.58 inches. So then you take your ruler again, measure from where your top of your bridge is to up here, and then you want to get 13.58. So you get once you get the 13.58, put a little mark, put this on here, and then I just drew a little line so I know where I'm going to put that later on after I'm done painting. Alright, for the next thing that I did is right here and then back here from our tuners, for tuning the strings, I took these plastic pieces, come in the kit, took all 4, popped them in here, and then I didn't push too hard because I want to be able to get them back out later. You can use a small flathead screwdriver if they get stuck, and just stick them in there. So I got all 4 of those in there, and then I took my 4 tuners, and then on the back you put those in, and then you put all 4 of those in. And one thing that I figured out to get those lined up nice is the black screw on the tuner. The black screw right there faces down on all 4, so that's an easy way to know what side to put it on. Black screw down, stick all these in, and then what I did is I took a pencil. Well, I got it lined up. I lined them all up just how I wanted them. I tried to get them evenly on both sides so it looks nice with the side of the ukulele. So then once I got them all where I wanted them, I took a pencil and I just marked off all these little holes. And then once I got the holes in there, I took these back out, and then I used my nail like I did with the bridge, and I took my nail and I set it on the table, took my hammer, hit it, just put a small little starter hole in there, pilot hole, for that your screw. Make sure your screws or your nails smaller than your screw so that your screw will fit in just small little holes, just to get you started, so that when you go in there later and you put these back in, you grab your screw, these are the small screws. You got the 2 sets of screws like I said earlier, and these are the small screws, so you put that in there, and now you got your hole started, and it'll be easier to screw those in. So then you'll do that on all the screw holes. So you use your hammer, use a small nail, hit it just to get started with your screw. And once you get all 4 of them in, then what I did is once I had them all in, I took my pencil and I just penciled in where they would all be located later. And now when I draw my design on there later, I know not to put any design right there. And then I did the same thing with the front with these, where I outlined them with the pencil so that when I do my design up here, I know where all these will be located later. Alright, for the last thing that I marked off before I start coming up with my design for painting was I took my fretboard, put it there, and that starts right where that nut that we marked off earlier, the line across there, that starts right there, so that's straight across there. Then just try to feel this so it's like even on both sides, going all the way up and down here. Make sure it's still level up here. Then once you get that how you want it, take a pencil, mark that off on here, and then that'll show right here. So when you're designing my artwork later, I know that the design doesn't go there also. And then the one last part was I marked off right there where this goes, so I won't paint there also. So now I have all my marks in. Alright, so we got all our prep work done. Prepping is probably the hardest part of everything, but it's super important to have a good quality product at the end, prepping everything out the best you can. So now that I got everything prepped, what I do to get the design that I'm going to want to put on here is I take a photo of this all the parts that I want to design is what I do. I take photos of them, and then I take my put them up in my phone, and I just design them digitally. I draw digitally right on my phone on all the parts with a program called Autodesk Sketchbook. You can use Photoshop, you can use Procreate, you can use whatever you want, and then you just draw like right on here in the program and get it how you want it. And then after I get it how I like it, I take that drawing, put it in my computer, and I have a projector. And I know everybody doesn't have all this stuff, so then I project my image onto here, and then I get an outline, and then I paint. And that's how I like to design stuff. Now there's many different ways that you could do this. So just some ideas of what you could do. You could just go right in here and just start drawing and have fun. Have a lot of fun with it. And that's how I started doing. I did the art like that for 35 years. I didn't do this whole projector digital art thing until just a few years back. But that's how I like to do things now, especially for commission type work, so that I can show people what they're going to get before they get it. And it looks very similar to what they saw for the digital design. But you could also draw on a piece of paper and then put it on here, and then take graphite paper, I think it's called, and then you put that on here, and then take your piece of paper, transfer it. There's a million ways you can get your design on here. Figure out what's fun for you, what works for you. And so I'm going to start designing, and I'll be back soon. So here right now I'm just showing my designs that I came up with on my digital art program, Autodesk Sketchbook. Alright guys, so now I got my sketch in. I used my projector to get it on here. Got everything sketched on here using a pencil so far. Got the whole thing sketched out. You don't have to paint the whole thing, you can do it however you want. The kit comes with some paint that you can use, or you can use whatever paint that you have that you like. I like to use Posca for some of my art, a lot of my art, and so I'm going to be using Posca paint markers. I got a bunch of different sizes, so that's what I'm going to be using on mine. I'll probably do a few time lapses so you can watch me painting, and then we'll put it back together. Alright, for this first part, I'm just doing a little rendition of the Amahi logo on the back of the neck. And then for the second part, on the front, I'm just doing a little scene, like a Hawaii scene with a volcano erupting, some waves in the back on the bottom, and then sun in the background, a palm tree. And then on the final piece, on the back, I'm doing a girl playing a ukulele. I used my wife as a model on how to get this going, and then just added some waves. Alright, so I finished painting all my designs on here. I put some green in all the spots where there isn't a design. I'm just going to hit it. I got a clear coat. I'm going to go hit it a few coats, all the parts, and then that'll just help protect it. There's a bunch of videos on the internet, different kinds of clear coats you can use. I used the spray. It's easier to get a good coverage. For me, you can experiment with things that you like. So I'm going to hit it with a clear coat. I taped off all the spots that are going to get glue later because I figured the glue will probably stick better if it's not clear coated. So here we go, and then I'll start putting it back together. Thank you. Alright guys, we're hitting the home stretch in the Amahi DIY Ukulele Kit. I got to reconnect my pieces, add the strings. Some of these parts require glue. I'm going to use the super glue from Gorilla, and let's get started. Alright, to start off, I'm going to attach the body and the neck like earlier. Stick your pins in here like that, and then I'll put glue right here and connect it. Alright guys, I got the body and the neck connected, so now I'm going to connect my fretboard. So I'm going to put that. I got it all marked off from earlier. If you're skipping around in the video, if you go back, it shows you how I figured out where everything goes, measurements that you'll need to do, and everything like that. So that's earlier in the video, but right now I have everything marked off, so I'm just going to glue this right here using the same glue that I used before. Alright, got the fretboard in. Time to attach the nut, which goes above the fretboard right here where I got this marked off from earlier in the video. So I'll just glue that in right up here. Alright, so we got our nut installed. Now it's time to add the bridge on the bottom. We already had the screw holes put in from earlier, so we'll just screw those right back in, right there. Alright guys, I screwed the bridge back in, and then on the top of the bridge there's this little white piece called the saddle that you just push right in there, flat edge down. Then there's these little caps that you can put over your screws so it looks a little bit nicer. Then you go up top, start adding these white pieces back in again, all 4 of those, and then screw your tuning knobs back in. Do that right now. Alright guys, I got my tuners in, so now it's time to add the strings. So on the instructions, it tells you right down here how to put the strings in the right order. I've never done this before, so I'm going to try it right now. There's some videos on the internet that really show you how to tie it up and everything. That would probably be better than what I could explain it, but I'm going to do it and we'll see how it sounds when I'm done. Alright guys, that's the end. Got my strings on here. Everything's done. I haven't cut the strings yet because I want to keep messing with the tuning a little bit. Little tip on what happened to me was when I was tuning it, the bridge kept coming up a little bit, so the tuning wasn't working quite right. So I unscrewed it and I added some glue down there. And then when I was able to go back and tune it the second time, I was able to get it to tune because it stayed down. It was going up and down. So I don't think the instructions say to put glue in there, but I added it and then screwed it down, and then it seems to be staying. So little tip for you. That's my DIY ukulele kit for Amahi. Hope you liked the video. Hope it helps you. If you think of any different ideas for it, let us know at Amahi. And I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Hope you guys like this video. Hopefully it's helpful on your DIY ukulele kits. And if you like my art in this video, please subscribe. Peace.